Tutor. Welcome, everyone, especially those who are here in person. I know that others wish they could be here, and this recording will be sent to you. If you, let's see, if you don't receive it, of course, you won't know that I'm saying this, so that doesn't do any good. Anyway, I'm very excited. I want to introduce you to my wing woman, Linda, who is, as you can see, a relationship healer. Um, I met Linda through a women rocking business program where we've joined with many who are healers, creators, all kinds of specialties with great experiences, great stories, and great skills and program. And we're being trained in this overabundant program to create a business. So this is where I met Linda and found that here was a soul sister. So it's just totally excellent to have her support me in this enterprise. So without further ado, I am going to go to my slides. Hopefully it's there. Let me check. No, it's not there. Somehow there. Technology is not my strong suit. But the good news is I love the phrase that we use in a women rocking business. We know how to be perfectly imperfect. I use that all the time. You might have heard me say it before. So, can you all see the screen? Yes, you never lost your power. Yes, thank you. All the hand gestures help because I can see a few of you here. Um, there's so much material that I cover today, which is about remembering your power. And this is kind of like my mission on this earth, as far as I know up to this time. I am here not to create a body of wisdom. My gift is I want to help people remember their power, remember who they are. So I use inspiration, I use different exercises, all to bring me to my power to remember who I truly am. So it could have been, um, the title could have been How to Live from Your Truth, How to Live from Your Wholeness, Your Authentic Self, all of that. That is what I'm pointing to. So let me move this down here. So we have welcomes and introductions. As I said last time, your participation questions are always welcome. Put them in the chat. If you can turn on your cameras, that's terrific. I will look for questions if I remember after each segment, but I may not remember. So now, in order to set two things in place, we assume that your participation here and anyone's participation listening to the recordings, they will preserve the confidentiality of the identity um, of people here. We want to create a safe, sacred place. When I do the work that I do, whether it's in a group or with individuals, I remind myself that I am walking into a very precious, sacred space to be with this person or with the group. And making it sacred helps to bring in other elements. Whereas we were doing a simple work discussion, it wouldn't necessarily have that sacredness. So to create a sacred place right now, think in your mind, what is most sacred to you in this moment? And place a word or a phrase in the chat so that we can share how you're creating a sacred space. And so this is where Linda's going to have to read what people have put in.
Happy to do that. And my word is love. That is what is most sacred to me right now.
Awesome.
Being present.
Yes. Awesome.
Arcana says kindness.
Awesome. Wonderful.
And that looks like that's it.
Okay. Beautiful. I will join all of you with everything that you said. Loving, kindness,
Being present.
yeah, being present. I'm going to be talking about each of these things today. So you already are in the spirit of that. You heard my official bio, so I'm not going to repeat it. I'm thinking about whether everyone was here last time. So, well, my official bio in 10 seconds is over 40 years ago, I earned my PhD in clinical psychology. And as I told you in my unofficial story, that I came to that place by being conformist, traditional. And I did the safe thing to get that degree and show up in the scene of my life as a professional. And I carried that role very well. And because I believed in all of that, I thought inside I was well, but I wasn't. And that's the other story. I told you the story yesterday of how I acquired this lost and confused sense of myself underground for years, but I want to tell you different stories around this. I went to healing school over 20 years ago at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. And in one of the first exercises we had, we were paired with a healer and we were led through a meditative like experience so that one person would look up to the healer and see the mother's eyes upon meeting for the first time. And since I was born 7 years after my older sister, I expected, a lot of excitement and joy. But instead, my mother's eyes were dead. And the story I learned later on, much later on in my life, is that uh, life had disappointed her in such a way that she became depressed. She withdrew her life energy. She, as a teenager, was sent to Japan to be a child of a childless aunt and met the love of her life there. And then she was called back home to Hawaii when her older sister was married and somebody was needed to take care of the 7 younger siblings. So she left the love of her life and returned. It broke her heart, but she did it. So she withdrew and was not participating in life. That's one story. Another story is when I was a teenager, a group of my friends one day cut me off from my best friend and they tried me after school. They tried me because they felt I was abusing her. And I was judged, and that was it. You would think I would be outraged or sad or something, but I had no emotion. Remember, I was a Stoic. And I also was involved in Christianity, which stressed forgiveness and all of this. And this is where I learned how some spiritual principles are just adopted. And we wear the roles of those spiritual principles. So we don't get angry or we don't judge, or we take it back, pretending that all of that is not important when in our hearts some big things happen. But I was able to ignore it. Um, so I was bullied, but I didn't realize how it added to the mistrust that I had of others. So that was the other thing. Then I had an incident. I don't think I mentioned this. When I was in this fundamentalist group in college, we had a camp. And in the camp situation, in the evening, we're all retiring to bed. An elder of the group came up to me and said, "You're afraid of people, aren't you?" To me, it was an outrageous question. Me afraid of people? Remember the Stoic? No fear. But when I went to bed, scene upon scene of every role I had taken on to survive up to that point came to me. And the pain of the falsity of that role with who I am just shot through me, and I cried all through the night, scene after scene, and feeling the pain of this betrayal of myself that I didn't realize that I had committed until in the morning I was finally done. And I felt like a newborn chick without anything, any kind of identity or anything. So I don't know why it happened, but the fear that somehow her question um, touched me with that, with fear, um, pierced through. And now I see it that it was an incredible gift because I don't think I could feel that level of pain as I felt and cried over then. So that's another version of my story. All right, let's see what we have next. Okay, yesterday, those of you who are here, we talked about how you forgot your par. And as I indicated at the end, there are many, many ways that you forgot your par, which I will elaborate on a bit today. I chose the role of the intellect, the voice of the negative critic, and the force of ego, the little self. So, for those who were here yesterday, I asked you to see if you could see any of these elements in the 23 hours between the last presentation and now. So write in the chat if you could see how your thinking mind governed your day. Yes, in the chat, whether you observe that. Were you thinking a lot? Any yes in the chats?
And I think
Or
I see, I have a yes. I'm seeing Kendall says yes. Arcana says yes.
okay, good watching. And
Yeah.
then the voice of the negative critic. Did you hear any little voice criticizing you for what you had done? That was wrong. That wasn't good enough. Who do you think you are?
Getting more
Anything?
guesses on that.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, bringing in what I consider more a spiritual practice of watching the little self, the ego. Did you see yourself in judgment that created separation between you and the other? Or thinking that ego uses to create fears? Did you see little fears show up in your life? Judgment. I'm right, you're wrong. How about that? Did you experience any of that? Yes, in the chat if you saw some
Judgment.
signs of that.
Got a yes with judgment for sure. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is this is to bring again how these three ways that help you forget your power created um, struggles and pain in your life. So recognizing that, we can look for how you remember. That's today, how you remember your power. I'm going to focus on three things. I'm going to talk about alignment with your heart. I'm going to talk about healing of your child parts. Whoops, I forgot to correct that. And third, I'm going to speak about awe, awareness, acceptance, compassion, forgiveness, love, stillness. I'm not going to give a lot of time, but some time to some of these to talk about what you may already know, but don't realize what a portal it is to remember your power. Are you intrigued? I'm going to have fun with this. Okay, alignment with your heart. I love this quote. There are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle. You can live as if everything is a miracle. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and all science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. His eyes are closed. I mentioned Einstein yesterday and watching him in the document series on genius. Whereas the young man, he just asked questions. He was so curious. And if we were to adopt that everything we take for granted, everything, the computer, the tree out there, the table, and everything is like commonplace. It's commonplace. But if you truly looked at everything, when I pick up my smartphone in the morning, I often go, God, it's just a miracle. In this little device I'm connected to so much, it is a miracle. But then there is so much other that it's a miracle that we're going to talk about soon. Okay, segment one, align with your heart. Listen to the cries of your heart. Now, if you will remember my story from yesterday, intuition broke into through my intellect to give me the phrase, listen to the cries of your heart, which began my own journey to heal my heart. Up to that time, intellect ruled. I didn't pay attention to my heart. And since 10 years ago, I've been on this journey to listen to the cries of my heart. When I wrote the book, a dear friend who is uh, an influencer of a movement called Awareness, Courage, and Love, ACL, wrote in her little endorsement, not only cries, but whispers of your heart. And this is what I teach in my courses, that you can hear the large cry of anger, fear, or sadness. But for those of us who suppress emotions, learn to bury them, we need to listen to the whispers such as irritation, worry, complaining, frustration. They don't seem huge expressions of fear or anger. These are whispers. So the three main emotions I focus on: sadness, anger, and fear.
When I first started working with Anne, I was in
I want to introduce to you to one of the members who participated in a 10-month group that I had. And it's been a while since it was concluded. But I asked her to provide a testimony to show what happens um, when you begin to face and uncover your buried feelings.
a super dark.
Ah,
When I first started working with Anne, I was in a super dark and fragile place. I was having super bad anxiety, very serious panic attacks. I was in the emergency room a lot. And I really felt like my world was sort of crumbling, just sort of collapsing in on me. I was going through like super painful breakup. I had major issues at work. And I think more than anything, I just felt extremely alone. I had been through a lot to get to that point. I had spent years of hiding my grief and fear. And I think I buried everything so deeply that I pretty much assumed that I didn't have feelings. I, I buried it so far I thought it disappeared, but it hadn't. Um, and I feel like working with Anne, um, she met me with compassion. She met me without judgment, and I think she met me with a presence that made me feel safe enough to enroll in the class to begin with. And when I enrolled in that class, I found other people who were feeling very similar to how I felt. Um, and I think that it was that group of people that made me sort of be able to come into myself, to really start to examine why I was feeling the way I was. And so over the course of the class, I felt like I grew a lot. My growth wasn't done at the end of the class, but I felt like this was a great starting point for me. Um, Having gone through the class, having worked with Anne, I am calmer. I haven't had a panic attack in a year and a half or almost 2 years now. I'm more centered. I am more compassionate with myself. Um, I talk to myself very differently, and I'm just really, really thankful um, for the class that I took with Anne, just because I think it opened me up and it allowed me to become who I really was versus being afraid and being terrified. And so I feel like that was what I got out of the class. Working together with others who were in similar situations as I was really made the difference for me.
okay. Write in the chat one thing that stood out for you in listening to this video. What of all the things she said stood out for you as, oh, I hear this? And Linda, you'll have to share with me whatever anyone puts in the chat.
I'm looking at the chat now. I personally did write something in.
Good.
As a former educator, as they're coming in, as a former educator, I was really touched by the fact, and I wrote, wonderful. We need educators who are strong, confident, and making an impact that they're here to make. It looked like she was probably a teacher in a classroom, that she's kind of, major role and has a mission on this planet, and to allow, and I've been there with the anxiety. allowing the anxiety and the fear to take hold and not allow you to get your voice out there to do your mission in life is really devastating. It's devastating not to that individual so much as it is to the rest of humanity. Yeah. Gigi says feeling of relief, and Patricia says she had a feeling of safety. Nice.
Her talking about burying her her feelings. She thought she didn't have them, and then it overcame her, is the message that I want to present in this first segment. Losing touch with your heart so that you think everything is okay. And then after your heart can't stand it anymore, for her, panic attacks that she ended up in ER many times. That's how severe what she was holding inside was. Um, I love the fact that she found a place of safety with others in her situation, in a class situation, that help her to feel supported and allowed her enough safety so she could discover more. So those are some of the things I um, wanted to bring up. So the heart centered orientation that I want to cover in this segment is, imagine if you listen to the message of each feeling that you had. Now, that's quite a task. And if you're not used to being aware of a feeling, that takes some work. And then your initial response to having a feeling that isn't happy and joyful is to recoil or resist somehow. That's how I am still. When I get irritated, well, less of these days, and disappointed, I feel it first, and then I try to go on and pretend that it isn't there. But now I catch myself. I said, okay, admit it, you're mad. And then I turn to, what is this feeling telling me? Listening to the message of each feeling. So one component of how I work is to elevate emotional intelligence, which I mentioned yesterday, how we're never talked about emotions and about the heart in our culture, in our family, and in our schools. So we have to begin to look at our feelings, our emotions in a different way so that we don't go with the reactive, I don't want to have anything to do with this. And that takes a process. You have to catch yourself. What are you doing? Till you are willing to, even not in that second, but 5 seconds later, a minute later, an hour later, say, oh, how come I felt myself yelling when I didn't know I was angry? That's how I can tell I'm angry. I'm yelling instead of saying quietly, you forgot this. Why can't you hear me? My partner is hard of hearing, so that gets irritating after a while for me. Anyway, to recognize that and then to move forward to contact and align with your heart. So that's the essential turnaround that I want to describe. So how do you turn to your heart? Now, as I talk about each of these things and you get your interpretation of what I'm saying, please say, I get this, or this is what I'm getting. And Linda can look at that and let me know, maybe halfway through and then through the rest. I want to speak about inspiration, and I'm bringing in my story. When I went through early retirement, I was in my practice, and my psych assistant had populated my bookshelf with all kinds of books, thank goodness. And one that I picked up was called The Autobiography of a Yogi. Does anyone know that? Linda does. Okay, you too, Patricia. Okay. When I read that, some of the things he wrote about affected me in terms of opening my eyes to the possibility that what I believed to be true was not true. So that was something that shifted. But more than that, he came through his writing and touched my spirit so that after I read it, I said, I've been listening to my head. I need to make a shift and turn to my heart instead. That was when I was 50 years old, and I'm much older now. So it took a long time for the shift to finally make it, but it was being inspired by the words or the spirit or heart of someone else that impressed me, not through anything in my head, but it touched my heart. So I was not the same again. Do you know what that is for you, being touched by inspiration, by someone else, by some experience? Yes, in the chat if you do, and if you can share, we will after the end of this part. Now, next thing is intention. I know people talk about intention all the time. I want to talk about my story of intention. Before I got into any of this, I picked up a book that my partner had called, what is it called? Something about the will. And it was a channeled work. And basically what it told me was that denial is really a strong process in human beings. And if I wanted anything to change, I had to change my denial. So for that part on, I said, okay, I'm going to start denying. And I didn't realize what that intention set off because really my life has not been the same since I started that. It doesn't mean that I still don't deny, but there's so much that I denied that I face that my life was never the same after setting that intention. Have you set an intention that you can see the effect of today? Now, my story and intuition, you know very well. 10 years ago, intuition gave me the phrase, listen to the cries of your heart. Today, I see that intuition as the voice of spirit. Remember the story yesterday that I was looking for spirit all my life? Well, it came banging at my door with intuition. And since then, intuition has been my guide. Intuition walks with me. If I'm not connected to my intuition, I feel flat. So intuition is a channel to a greater wisdom. You know, intuition that shows up as a hunch or a synchronicity or a gut feeling. And you know, when you don't pay attention to it, you remember, oh, I was not supposed to do this, or was supposed to do this and I didn't. So if you know intuition, put a yes in the chat. And how it came, hunch, gut feeling, synchronicity, anything. I would appreciate that. And finally, the imagination. Being so intellectual most of my life, I did not have much of an imagination at all. And in the course of writing, listen to the cries of your heart, I created an inner child method that uses imagination. I don't know where that came from. Well, I do know where it came from. It came from intuition. And when I looked at the method, I said, What is different about this method as opposed to anything else people write there out there? Therapists talking about the inner child, meditations about the inner child, journaling about the inner child. Well, for me, in imagination is opening a door of your mind beyond thinking. It puts you in a space where anything is possible. Remember, that's what creatives do. They go to the space of imagination and create their songs, their poetry, their artwork. All the creative there is there. It is infinite in the possibility. And what else is infinite but the divine? So I feel there is another connection to your power. If you use your imagination, you can tap into a power that um, will surprise you. So now I'd like to hear yes in the chat. Anything anyone wrote, Linda, that you can share?
We have yeses to the questions, and we have yes, that gut feeling. Patricia shared that she had yes. The intuition is the gut feeling.
Okay. How about inspiration? Has some soul, some writing, some artwork, something hits you and changes you because the spirit of the creator of what that was affected you, your being, not your mind, but your being. Yeah,
Yeah, if I may share,
please.
inspiration part, you mentioned the autobiography of a yogi. My first, when I was going through my dark night, I had two babies. I was in a very dark hole and didn't know how to get myself out. I was exhausted. I came across Louise Hay,
Yes.
and that really was the first opening for me to who I really am. And I think it was called The Power Within.
Ah,
How we can heal ourselves and that kind of thing. So it really took me, it got me out of that deep hole. It came right at the right time and just kind of pulled me up, and all the other things after that lined up to help me to go on that healing journey.
beautiful. Yeah, Louise Hay has given such a gift to us because that's something else that we can discover. We have the capacity of healing in ourselves. And what I love about this is that it's not going to a healer and have the healer do the work. I mean, it's great if you get relief from the healer, but you don't learn anything about who you are and
Um,
if you can become your own healer. Yes.
yes, I'm sorry. I was just thinking a message. I'm hoping I didn't miss anything else. Excuse me. Archana said, "You Can Win" by Shiv Kira, a book that inspired me, helped me stay motivated and be easy of myself.
Good.
Be easy on myself. Yeah, because we can be difficult and hard on ourselves. We're probably our biggest critics, right?
Okay, for sure. For sure. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. I appreciate your shares. Let's see what's next. So, this orientation that I do in terms of emotional intelligence or turning to the heart is seeing every distress, every upsetness, anger, fear, sadness as an opportunity for growth. So, Linda, you shared the dark night of the, falling to the dark hole that you did after the birth of your two children. Um, and it turned out, from what you discovered, an opportunity for incredible growth and in touch with the spirit that Louise Hay had, which is how I think at this present time, with the work that we're trying to do in the various forms that you do them, is to reach out and awaken the healer within, awaken the voice of truth, which we'll get to. It's all about raising your emotional intelligence. So that's another aspect of heart-centered healing. I stress the intuitive mind, and here is Einstein. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift. The rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. I love Einstein because although he's known as being a scientist, he came to bits of his theory of relativity as it was developed through intuition. It wasn't his rational mind. Things just kind of came together. He didn't say, "What's the answer to this?" and an answer come. No, it was in moments, surprising moments, that the answer came, like the apple falling on Isaac Newton's head, like that. All right. So we have completed the first segment, and now we move to this next segment, which is healing the inner child. I can speak for hours on healing the inner child because I am an inner child specialist, but I'm going to quickly review the points about the inner child. And I love this little figure that someone created because the inner child doesn't believe she's good. The inner child doesn't believe she's loved and certainly doesn't feel safe. So we'll go through this in order, starting with the triggers. So when the adult experiences something similar to what happened in childhood, triggers come. Or there are feelings that are felt chronically, such as resentment or anger, indicating the presence of a wounded child. I don't know how many of you have been around individuals where you feel that although they're not expressing anger, you can feel a sense of anger running through them. They're not comfortable people to be with. Or a person who is dwelling in fear, and you can feel the anxiety or the fear running through them. They may be meek. They may not, or they may overcompensate and express kind of bravado in trying to not seem as afraid as they fear. So these are the triggers of the inner child. Oh, there's another error. Inner child. I was doing this late at night last night. Now, the beliefs of the inner child. Here are a bunch of them. As you go through them, count how many of these can you say, I have this. I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable. I have to be perfect to be accepted. My feelings don't matter. I'm a burden to others. If I make a mistake, I'll be rejected. I'm too much. I'm not enough. Love has to be earned. I'm not valued for what I do, not who I am. I'm only valued for what I do, not who I am. I am alone. So, how many yeses can you add to this list of 10? Write in the chat what you can say yes to. I have these beliefs. What are we finding, Linda?
Yeah, we've got yes, almost all of them. Patricia says all 10, Kendall says all, Gigi says 5, and I say all as an adopted child, had all of them.
Wow. Okay. So, uh, when these are active in your subconscious, and sometimes you know that that's where you're operating from, you can see how limiting it, when a limited, you have a cage around you, all these limited beliefs, and that keeps you from owning your power. Here are the strategies. Again, do the same thing. People pleasing, perfectionism, overachieving, self-reliance, conflict avoidant, can't trust anyone, suppressing anger, self-blame, overly accommodating, numbing out. I want to explain self-reliance just for a bit. When the child experienced the rejection, neglect, painful experience early on in childhood, the experience was, I am alone. There's no one to depend on but me. Not a thought process, but the impression. And so that impression led to the child said, gotta depend on myself, no one else. And so this began um, a strategy. This is how I survive. I depend only on me. And this leads to or related to not trusting anyone really, because after all, you were abandoned or betrayed. So you tend not like in working in groups because you have to depend on people, or you become, it's difficult for you to ask for help when you need help. So these are some aspects of self-reliance that may puzzle you and why it's there. But I find it too often in many of us, I am getting used to asking for help. But before, never occurred to me that I needed help, much less ask for help. So again, how many of these strategies can you say you see in yourself? And Linda, you can let me know what people say.
Yeah, we'll give them a moment to type.
Uh-huh.
So I've got is it Archana said 8, Patricia all of them, Kendall said 7, and I have all of them because I'm an overachiever, of course.
That's funny, Linda. And these are the only, I want to say that when you do this work, those are the common ones. And there are a lot that it takes a while to detect and heal. But there are so many more. So that's getting us started.
And Gigi also comes in with 8.
Okay, thank you. Now, I want to tell you quickly a story, a client's story. This is a woman who's in her 60s now and fell into a black hole at the beginning of COVID. She has a history of being molested from age 3 by a live-in grandfather. So consequently, she learned to suppress her anger. And what she's been recognizing and confessing to me lately is I've been a doormat my whole life. Whatever anyone wanted, that's what was happening in her current life. Her neighbor, her husband, have ideas of what should be done about a particular situation. And what she has done so often is to say, oh, okay, I've got to got to go along with all of this. And when I ask her, what does your wisdom say? She comes up with these things. So now, having experienced the anger from childhood as well as the current situation, she is setting boundaries. She's making sure she's not around her husband when he's in a bad way. She's resting to take care of herself rather than all the shoulds she needs to. And I can almost always count on her when I say, what does your wisdom say when she asks me, what should I do? So this is a case where someone has gone through the process dealing with trauma, dealing with anger and pain, and moving to where there is clarity, and her remembering she has power. She has the capacity to take care of her needs. Now, I want to talk about a very important part of the work I do briefly. Anything that you're aware of right now is only 5% conscious. Everything else that is influencing what you hear, how you see, what is in the world, your world comes from the subconscious. The subconscious holds the trauma, the limiting beliefs, the strategies, all the pain, all the memories, all the habits you have of doing, of taking care of all of this. So we don't have access to the subconscious mind and stay at the level of the conscious mind. We don't know how powerfully, we don't know our power. Our power can come from the subconscious mind. This is the work that I do. I engage the subconscious mind. Here is a testimony I pulled out from someone I worked with recently. Working with Anne during my MAP session was nothing short of life-changing. She created a space that felt truly safe, somewhere I could finally go express everything I've been holding in and feel it all without judgment. Throughout the session, I experienced several profound light bulb moments that shifted something deep within me. After enduring immense trauma and loss, Anne is the only person who's been able to reach that part of me and help me begin to release what I've carried for so long. Her presence, skill, and intuition are extraordinary. Now, this person I worked with just like a month ago, she has tried all kinds of things, and her trauma one started that she's conscious of since she was 23 uh, was huge. She married a narcissist who took everything from her, including her 3 children. So the background of how she came to be with a narcissist is full of trauma as well. And just in one session, she was able to just spill this all out and take in the work of working with the subconscious. So what we do with MAP, Make Anything Possible, we take your subconscious, train it so that it becomes superconscious to indicate that it's an aspect of your divinity that you're using on your behalf. And so much change can happen. Now into the segment that I put everything else in. um, I will cover awareness, acceptance, and I've already spoken about inspiration. And I'll start with love or peace. Perception is projection is from Carl Jung, and that's a deeper work with people that I'm currently using with our current group program, where they're only in their 3rd month, and I brought a component of their 10th month into it. However, let's start with awareness, and I'll bring it in with love or peace also. Thich Nhat Hanh said this: awareness is like the sun. When it shines on things, they are transformed. Awareness, one of the first components I work with in a group setting, because without awareness, there's too much denial, there's too much darkness. So I encourage people to be aware. And what does being aware mean? It means, oh, I don't feel good. Oh, I'm only thinking. Oh, I'm afraid. I'm bored. I'm going out of my mind. I feel stuck. Whatever awareness is, when it touches upon something, they are transformed. I thought, wow, that's a huge promise to have awareness do that. But today I got an insight. Intuition came in and said, yes, but awareness is something you always have and you can always turn on to anything. So it's like um, Einstein said, treating everything like it's a miracle. So um, I might look at a flower. I've seen it before. I love it, all of that. But if I were truly present, aware, that's a whole different story. Being in the moment, like Eckhart Tolle said, can be transformative, can't it? Because when you're in the moment, there are no thoughts. When you're in the moment, there's no negative critic. When you're in the moment, there is nothing else but the moment. And those who celebrate, all the wisdom teachers say that in the moment, there is presence with a capital P. The spirit that I commune with and walk with tells me in every moment, I am there. So whenever I can stop and say, oh, are you there? Of course, spirit is there because I'm in that moment to experience that. So awareness is incredible muscle. And if you already try to become more aware and practice meditation to become more aware, or practice being in the now to be more aware, good for you. And if you do it a little bit, do it more. It's life-giving. In fact, I heard in my looking for inspiration, someone say, awareness is love with a capital L. Awareness is connected to your power. It is your power that will help you remember who you are. The next is acceptance. The first step toward change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. This woman that I mentioned, suffering from childhood abuse, she finds it really hard to accept what she's experiencing right now, which is a lot of pain, physical and emotional. She wants to run from it because it hurts so badly. So I encourage her, if you can accept, can you accept? Because when you resist, what you resist persists. You've heard that, right? And acceptance is going, okay, I give up. It's there. It's what is. I accept. It's surrendering rather than struggling, thinking you can control, you can figure out the right thing to do, think it out, whatever. Just relax and accept that's what's in your face. The more you struggle, the more pain there is. There's so much wisdom in that. This is kind of the tail end of this section. I love the phrase, only love heals. And it's not a romantic love. It's not an emotion. It's a state of being. So this is what Deepak Chopra says. Love is who you are. Your true self is pure love, infinite awareness, and unbounded joy. As you realize this, you will feel a small light in your heart. At first, it will be the size of a spark, then a candle flame, then a raging bonfire. I think I may have a candle flame going. It's not getting into close to bonfire, but I feel inspired when I read the phrase, love is who you are. And when I do these presentations, when I work with clients, I um, I just realized I forgot something major. That's why I'm hesitating. Um, when I think love is who I am, my true self is pure love, infinite awareness, unbounded joy. I haven't gotten to the unbounded joy place. So I have a candle flame going. Only love heals. What of that speaks to you? Can we get any anything in the chat about that?
So in the chat, we're looking for how we experience this or what we.
Yeah, any reaction to this
Okay.
quote? How does this quote affect you?
Okay. Healing is within from Gigi. Yes. I personally, and because I'm on here, I can talk. Do you want me to put it in the chat or shall I just say? I gotta say it anyway.
Say it, Linda.
I feel like I'm talking too much. Yeah, no, I love this image of, that little spark, made probably the darkness at first in the heart, and then that little spark, and then it grows and it just expands. Because I know, as an energy healer, it's all about the light and expanding the light. And in Qigong, we do this practice, and it's like, massive. It's a beautiful, the wording is excellent.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Gigi says that healing is within, and Kendall says it gives hope for better.
Yes. Yes. Good. Hope is also a precious thing.
Patricia is very moving. Need to remind myself of love, is who we are.
Yeah, exactly. So my very first spiritual instruction came from a spirit called Emmanuel decades ago. And the lesson he taught was there is only love or fear. So you're in one state or another, only two choices. Love feels peaceful, gentle, where fear does not. It's agitation, your mind going mile a minute, resisting, just a lot of stuff going on, no peace. So if any time you ask yourself, where am I, love or peace, love or fear, you get your answer. And when you get your answer, if it's fear, you can say, all right, I choose love. That's a beginning. It's an intention setting that can move you to love. And the more you do it, you'll be feeding the light, the candle flame, the spark, so that the love can grow. So that's one way of thinking about it. Moments of awe and wonder can also touch the power that you have. So this is the exercise I would have put you through, but I can't do it now because I'll put you in a state that makes you so relaxed. I won't have your attention. So you can picture yourself in nature or looking into the eyes of a young baby. the innocence there. Oh, being enraptured with bird sounds, flowers. We have tons of roses here in Napa. So I keep taking pictures of roses. My iPhone must be filled with about 6,000 pictures of roses. Um, Anything, actually, if you're curious enough and get present with it, can put you in a state of awe and wonder. Poetry, a book, a painting, anything that was touched by inspiration can put you in a state of wonder and awe. I love dark nights. Oh my God, that is so overpowering. And all that is to be in touch with the Creator and see that everything can be an expression of love, that you are not alone. Spirit Creator is here. Anything, moments and awe and of awe and wonder are particular in this way. I used the roses and the bird chirping, a lot of chirping in the spring to say, oh, I'm being reminded, Spirit is here. It's remembering that you're connected to love and to your source, and your remembering can be a spark that grows into a flame, that can be a bonfire. So you have a very short time to put one thing in the chat that you're going to take away from today's presentation, from this portion of what helps you remember your par.
Okay, I think we're still probably typing away.
Okay.
Patricia says the question, uh,
Yes.
are you in love or fear? Love, and then Kendall, the question, are you in love or fear?
Yes.
Take that.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know I'm reading that funny. And then Kendall said, love is who we are.
Yes. Great.
Gigi said, using less intellect and more imagination.
Yay. Yay.
I said that there were so many that awareness can lead the way to choice.
Yay. Yay.
Oh, see, Archana says, love starts from within.
Yay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay. So you know me a little through the I forgot to have Linda type this in the chat so we can you type this in the chat, Linda?
I can type that. Hopefully, I will.
I loved your responses and appreciate your presence here and the presence of those who are only listening to this. And I'd love to get to know you better. I'd love to hear where I got only bits of your challenges. Um, and when we have this talk, um, how what I do may be helpful to you. So that's what the chat is about. That's the link that will serve to connect you to, we can now stop the screen share actually. Oh, whoops. I
Ah,
have a lovely thing beyond this thank you thing that I wanted to share.
And just so you know, I did click on the link and it did take me to your Calendly. However, it went away and said that the calendar is not available.
Okay. I
So just,
will, I will email each of you, look for it.
yeah,
Um,
give me the link, yeah, for the,
that's the one thing I forgot to check to see that I had appointments available. So thank you for that. Now, this is from Rumi. Thankfulness brings you to the place where the beloved lives. Isn't that beautiful? There are these portals to the beloved. And here Rumi is naming one. Thankfulness brings you to the place where the beloved lives. If you're in love or fear, and it's fear you're caught in, you can turn to gratitude. What can I be grateful for? Yes, this thing and that thing and that thing, and you will be opening the door to where the beloved lives, which is you, your par. So I love finding this quotation. Um, yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this time together. I appreciate it all. And I will be in touch. Look for an email from me.
got thank yous, and I have put in there that you're going to email that to everyone.
Yes, yes,
To go get your, definitely be sure to go get your free discovery calls. Yeah.
yes, yes. I would love spending time.
Thank you,
with
Anne. This was
them.
amazing. Thank you so, so very much.
Oh, thank you for your help and your presence.
Really enjoyed your presentation. It was so well done. You're just so calming, and I really appreciate that.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, I'll end the meeting. Oh, I can end the meeting and stop the recording.